Welcome to the Denodo Data Management course. In this module, we will take an in-depth look at what kind of data is stored by the Denodo platform and how it can be managed. Here, the data refers to the physical data stored in the data virtualization layer for some instances. The agenda of this module is to learn about overview of data management in Denodo and the uses for replicating data in the Denodo platform. Then, in the Data Storage module, we will deep dive into how data is managed by the Cache and Summaries feature of Denodo platform. Also, we will discuss the special type of views in Denodo which will store the data, such as materialized tables, temporary tables, and remote tables, along with its uses. Finally, we will end the course by learning about the various options such as tree view, used by, source refresh, changes propagation, and data lineage, which Denodo provides for metadata management and the security mechanisms to protect the data and metadata at rest. The main aim of this course is to get a deeper understanding on what and how data is stored and managed in Denodo. In the first module, administrators will get a high-level overview about why data needs to be stored in Denodo platform. With data virtualization, we can access the data in real time, which minimizes data replication. However, there are certain cases where some amount of actual data needs to be replicated. These requirements for replicating data in the Denodo platform will be discussed in detail in this module. Also, we will read about different components or options available in Denodo where the data is stored. Now that we've seen the different cases where Denodo stores the data, we will now see each of these scenarios in detail. Firstly, let's discuss data in cache. As we've seen in previous courses, Virtual Dataport incorporates a cache module to store a local copy of data. This cache database can be set to use the default embedded Apache Derby database in the Denodo platform. Besides this, it's possible to configure an external database for storing the cache data. In any case, Virtual Dataport will create and maintain the cache tables regardless of what source is used. Furthermore, we will also discuss the uses of cache, like reducing the load of queries on data sources, speeding the data retrieval process for specific types of data, and even in some cases it can be used to provide better performance for federated queries. In this module, we will discuss the new feature which is introduced in Denodo Platform 8 called Summaries, and how the data is stored by Denodo when a summary view is created. In general, these summaries can store common intermediate results that the query optimizer can then use as a starting point to accelerate analytical queries. That is, instead of visiting a data source to retrieve data, summaries act as a starting point from where the results are retrieved and analyzed faster and deliver the results quicker to the end user. As part of this module, we will walk you through creation of summaries, managing them, and some of the best practice that need to be followed when working with summary views. Next, we have modules for special views. We will explore the different types of special views available in Denodo platform. We will discuss how these special views are used for different use cases. Administrators can learn about the three special views, such as materialized tables, temporary tables, and remote tables. First is the materialized tables. In this view, the data is stored in a database where the data is cached instead of an external data source. Unlike the other types of views, its schema and data are completely managed from Virtual Dataport, so its structure does not depend on any external source. Similarly, the temporary tables also store their data in cache database like the materialized table. The difference is that temporary tables are removed as soon as the user session ends, or 48 hours, whichever is earlier, whereas the materialized tables are permanent. Since the materialized tables are permanent, you cannot have them sharing the same name, as opposed to the temporary tables, which are for a user, so two users can create a temporary table with the same name. Lastly, we have remote tables. In Virtual Dataport, you can store the results of a query in an external database. This particular feature is called remote tables. In this module, we will discuss more about creation, management, and also maintenance of these tables in Denodo platform. In the final module, we will learn about several options Denodo platform provides to the administrators for handling and controlling the metadata, such as tree view, used by, source refresh, changes propagation, and data lineage. Additionally, we will get a deep understanding of storage options available for metadata. In the earlier versions of Denodo Platform, the metadata is always stored in the embedded Derby. But starting from Denodo Platform 8, administrators can store the metadata and user settings in an external database. We will conclude this module with security mechanisms available to protect the metadata and the actual data that are at rest. In this module, we've learned about the data storage using different features of Denodo Platform, along with the metadata management options available in Denodo Platform. Thank you for watching.